For Kennedy grandchildren, family name is a burden and a blessing. They are actors and activists, politicians, and journalists. And many are private. 2 generations removed from the glow of the Kennedy White House, the Kennedy family now includes more than 30 grandchildren who still find their lives both their accomplishments and missteps breathlessly tracked by a public fascinated by the descendants of Camelot. Say Iris Kennedy Hill, a 22-year-old granddaughter of Robert F. Kennedy, who died Thursday at the family compound on Cape Cod, was one of the more private members of the famous family. A Boston College. Still, her death made news worldwide, from Ireland to Australia. Many headlines. The Kennedys are and remain American royalty, so even though you're getting generations away from the children of Rose and Joe Kennedy, they still hold this fascination, said Scott Person, a former press secretary to the late Senator Edward M. Kennedy, referring to the patriarch and matriarch who established the family's wealth and power a century ago. They have that intersect. Larry Tye, a biographer of RFK, said the Kennedy legacy is both a burden and an opportunity for the grandchildren. Tye, a former, this famous family continues to intrigue Americans, and that is better for some of the offspring, and worse for others, Tye said. I am, really, so much tragedy has followed them for so long, it strikes resonant chords with millions of people in this country, and they feel it almost personally, he said. Some of the Kennedy grandchildren have embraced the spotlight, stepping into the worlds of entertainment and politics. Perhaps the most prominent is U.S. Representative Joseph P. Kennedy III, a grandchild of Robert and Ethel Kennedy, who was elected to Congress in 2012, following in the footsteps of his father, former Representative Joseph P. Kennedy II. Another well-known grandchild is a grandson of JFK who is getting dual degrees in business and law from Harvard. He has appeared on Kathleen Kick Kennedy, a granddaughter of Robert and Ethel Kennedy, has made her name as an actress whose credits include Curb Your Enthusiasm and Gossip Girl. Robert Kennedy III, also an RFK grandchild, is an actor and producer who last summer, when he married a former CIA officer, Amaryllis Fox, at the family compound in Hyannis, Portugal. In January, other grandchildren have found their troubles and romances turned into tabloid fodder. Such was the case for Connor Kennedy, who when he was a teenager and pleaded guilty in 2017 to disorderly conduct following a fight outside a bar in Aspen. The intense interest in the family, both positive and unflattering, is no surprise to the grandchildren, Ferson said. They're brought up to know they're going to have an extra level of attention and scrutiny on their actions, he said. When a tragedy strikes, Ferson said, it instantly recalls the many others that have befallen the family, from the assassination of President Kennedy in 1963 to the death 20 years ago of his son, John F. Kennedy Jr., in a plane crash off Martha's Vineyard. Robert F. Kennedy, the grandfather of Kennedy Hill, was assassinated 5 years after his brother, in 1968. In 1990, that Kennedy Hill died in the family compound. The backdrop for many iconic photos of JFK and his family at play. Only heightened the attention, Ferson said. It's such a touchstone for people, he said. For Americans distressed about the state of the country under President Trump, Dallek said, the Kennedy family has taken on even greater symbolic meaning, evoking a bygone era of glamour and greatness in Democratic politics. They're reverting back to the Kennedys, he said, to hold on to something that they admire. Michael Levinson can be reached at. Follow him on Twitter.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.